No. Go visit it. Take that to mama. Thank you. Cassie? No, go take it to mama. Can you hear me good? Can you see good? Sorry I'm late. We're having a really bad storm here. So I'd have to push through this here pretty quick. I have to push through it really quick because of the storm. I hate for my lights to go out. Hi, Vicky. Natasha. No, you didn't miss it, Miss Bash. I was a little late. That was my fault. I was debating if we were going to do this or not because the weather is... It was a beautiful day today, and all of a sudden now it's nasty out. But I guess that's Texas for you. Good, Terry. I'm going to give it about 2 to 3 more minutes. And then I'll get started. I'm going to tell you a funny story, and actually then I'm going to go ahead and get started. The funny story is, I do a lot of tutorials, and a lot of the tutorials that I do, I don't want to say that they're more so advanced tutorials, but I guess they're for people who know Cricut. And my wife came to me yesterday or the day before. She was like, well, how do you layer vinyl? And I looked at it like, as many times as I've laid vinyl before, you're going to ask me, layered vinyl before, you're going to ask me, have I ever, well, how to layer vinyl? But sadly, she didn't know how to do it. There was a podcast that I was listening to on my way to work that talked about how teachers sometimes forget the basis of what they need to teach versus just teaching what they know. It's kind of like, for me to hop on and just do this, it's something easy, it's something simple. So I would have never thought in a million years that anybody would actually ask me to teach them how to layer vinyl for HTV or 651 or 631. So I just thought it was unique. But hey, I guess we're going to go ahead and get started. I've wasted enough of your time. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be working with multiple layers of vinyl. Today we're going to be doing 2 layers of vinyl, but it works the same way whether you're doing 2 layers, 3 layers, 4 layers, 5 layers. It's just a matter of getting the colors inside of a design space. And for time's sake, unfortunately, I went ahead and I did my design already. Now, the text that I'm going to show you, if I'm not mistaken, I think is Spooky Halloween. And I downloaded the font from dafont.com. That's DAFONT.com is where I downloaded this font from. I got the curve and I got the shadow and I got all of that from Ponto. For you guys that don't know what Ponto is, I have a tutorial on Ponto that I just recently did that you're more than welcome to go visit. I'll post it back up into the group that shows you how to download font onto your iPad, iPhone, or phones, or whatever the case it is. I think it's only iPhone based, but if I'm not mistaken, I think I heard somebody say that they downloaded it on their Samsung. But I downloaded my font from dafont.com into Ponto, and I designed everything inside of the Ponto with my shadowing that I have. It's all designed in Ponto. And I just uploaded it into Design Space. If you don't know how to do that, there is a tutorial that I did that will show you how to do it. And for my pumpkin design, what I did is I just basically grabbed a pumpkin from Facebook, from Google, but just a standard pumpkin that I grabbed from Google. And this image that I have here was just an image that I grabbed from Google also. So I just Googled pumpkin stencil. Or pumpkin outline, and I ended up grabbing this pumpkin, and then I did a pumpkin face, and I ended up coming with this face. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be layering these on an actual shirt. It's already pretty much set up to my liking. which is going to look like such. If you want this font, like I told you, I think it's Halloween, Spooky Halloween from defont.com. I did the shadowing from Ponto. Hi, Charlie. I did the shadowing from Ponto also. That's a great app, and I just uploaded the images into Design Space in order to get my shadow, because if I'm not mistaken, there is a way that you can do shadowing in Facebook. I mean, in Design Space, but the way that you do the shadowing in Design Space, it doesn't give you that authentic shadowing like what we have here. And with this pumpkin, like I said, it's just a generic cutout pumpkin that I just grabbed from Google, and I just Googled a face. And what I did is it actually had the full pumpkin space on the inside of it. I just took my image, put my image into it, and I spliced the image, or sliced the image. Saving video to watch it later. Cool, yeah. It'll be up. I sliced this image, the pumpkin face image, into the pumpkin. That's the reason why you've got the lines on the inside of the pumpkin. If you don't know Ponto, I have a video. I will be more than elated to re-upload that video of Ponto. However, it did change. So because it did change, I have no problem with actually going back, redoing a new video, because they did do some updates since my last one. But of course, that's just the way that it'll work. But if you have it, I'll save that, and that'll be a tutorial for another day for us. So this right here is pretty much what our image is going to look like. The first thing that you're going to need to do, can you hear me fine over the music? I want to make sure it's not so loud. The first thing that we're going to be doing is the first thing that you need to make sure that if you are, or if you did carry over from Ponto, you need to make sure that your insert fits your shadowing. And what I mean by that is you need to make sure that you don't have the white lines on the inside of it. Sometimes it's not going to be perfect, but if you can get it as close as you can, or make it just a little bit bigger, or the black part just a little bit bigger to outline the orange, if that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, inbox me and I can go over it. But now that everything lines up, what we're going to do is we're going to have to pull it apart, because it's going to cut in two separate colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all the black together, because I don't want to have to turn around and realign this pumpkin or realign this face on the inside of it. You are more than welcome to cut, to keep it separated like such, and cut 4 different cuts. So trick or treat will be one cut, the face will be one cut, this trick or treat will be one cut, and this will be one cut. But I'm gonna what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna weld these two together, because I don't want to have to line up that pumpkin, line up the pumpkin face when I get ready to put it on there. But I'm not gonna I'm gonna cut these separately. So I'm gonna just stick these off to the side really quick. I'm gonna take these two, and I'm gonna, hopefully I can weld them together. And now that I have it welded together, I just want to put it back over it just one more time to make sure that I have it on there right. So I got that on there, and I want to make sure that the pumpkin's lined up right. And it looked like we're good to go. I just want to make sure that the pumpkin was centered to trick or treat, so when I get ready to cut it, that it's going to cut right. So what I did is these two are welded, so now they're together. So when they get ready to cut, they're going to cut as just one cut. On these two right here, they're going to cut as 2 separate cuts, because they're the outline. I'm going to be putting down let's see what goes first. It looked like the black needs to go first, and then once the black goes first, then the orange goes on top of it on mine, or vice versa, whichever way you want to do it. Personally, I don't think it matters, but if you have a vision in your mind as far as which way you want to do it or how you want to do it, then whatever works for you works for you. So just keep that in mind. So now that I have it already, this is going to be HTV. So since it's going to be HTV, it needs to be mirrored. So I'm going to go ahead and send it over to Make It. Once we get over to Make It, it's automatically going to give me 2 separate mats to cut it on. It's going to give me a black mat to cut it on, and it's going to give me an orange mat to cut it on. I know on my phone I'm able to move it, which I am. So what I'm going to do in order to try to save some space is I'm going to take this and I'm going to move this over to the black mat to see if I can get it to cut all on one mat, in which I think I can. But I think the pumpkin is what's going to be my problem when I try to bring over the pumpkin, because it's extremely big. I'm trying to get it to all cut on one mat, but I don't think it's going to cut on one mat. Just playing around with it to see if I can get it to possibly cut on one mat. Yeah, it's not gonna work. So what I'm gonna have to do is just back it off, and I'm gonna have to, you can cut this all on one mat if in the event that it fits, but unfortunately with this one it doesn't fit. So I'm gonna cut, I'm gonna move the pumpkin back over. And this is just lining it up on the mat. This can be done in any program or for whatever it is that you're working on. If you've got multiple different cuts and you want to try to get it all on the same mat. How did I move it on the mat? If you click on it here, or if you just standardly click on it, then it's going to come up with these little 3 dots on the side. Oh, you can't see it. It's going to come up with these 3 dots on the side right here. So what you do is you click on the 3 dots and it gives you the option to either move to another mat or either hide to select it. So if you're not ready to cut this right now, but it was automatically on the mat and you just want to hide it, then you just click hide it, and then it'll cut only what you see here. If in the event that that's the route that you're going to be going. Uh-oh, I'm sorry. I'm working with this new computer. This isn't my computer. This is the wifey's computer. So back over to make it. Now that we're back over to make it, automatically separated it back into 2 mats. I think I can get the pumpkin on this mat, in which I can get the pumpkin on this mat. Maybe. No, it's going to be cutting it too close. Pretty much what you want to do is you want to make sure that the mat, I don't know if you can see it, you want to make sure that the mat have enough space. So if you're going to be cutting this here, you need to make sure that you have enough vinyl on your board and this pumpkin in the center here. So I'm going to be making 2 cuts, but on this one it's going to have my black for the trick or treat, and it's going to have my orange on here for a pumpkin. And then on the second cut, which is over here on the orange mat, then of course you know that this needs to be orange. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut my vinyl now, or show you how to cut the vinyl and line the vinyl up on the on your mat real quick. Over here on my little makeshift table. So I think my phone is charged enough. So excuse my little makeshift table here. So I think you can see decently. So I'm going to be using black glitter for my black, and if I had orange glitter, then of course I would have used orange glitter, but I don't have orange glitter, so we're just going to go with what we're going with, only because this is a tutorial. Can you see fine, or do I need to move the camera back a little bit? Is that better? So, looking at the computer, you need to make sure that you line it up exactly from what the computer looks like. So it looks like the trick or treat is at least a 10, and I typically have a mat, but I don't have a mat, so we're going to be cutting on this old dirty mat that I have here in order to line it up right is what we're going to be doing. And this mat, this is cut so odd. It looks like I need to line it up for a 7 by 11 is how big that is. So we're just going to line it up. It looks like it stops at 11 right here, and we need at least a 7-inch. So that's what we're going to be cutting out real quick. 7 is here. So I'm going to be cutting this just a hair bit bigger, just for my sake. And we're going to be cutting on my big board here because it's the only one that still sticks as of right now. Let me get my computer down here really quick so I can show you exactly what I'm looking at and why I'm lining it up the way that I'm lining it up. So if we look at the computer tells us that we need to at least cut this. I cut it just a little bit bigger, at least just a hair bit bigger, at least by a 12. I mean, at least by an 11. And it looks like it needs to be no less than a 7. Plus, we've got our pumpkin in here. So you need to give an account that you're going to be putting a different color vinyl in here for that pumpkin. So what we're doing from here is, of course, you know, the vinyl goes upside down and look like it needs to be an 11 at least by a 7, but it looked like our pumpkin sticks over the 7 just a little bit. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to cut it down just a little bit in order to get our pumpkin vinyl in here the way we want to get it in here. All right. So according to what we have here, look like our trick or treat edit needs to be mirrored. Forgot to do that. So now that we've got it mirrored, then this is the way that it's gonna cut. It looked like we are dead on for the cut. Now we just need to cut for the pumpkin, and it looked like the pumpkin needs to be from here about 6 3/4 down to 12. So I'm gonna cut the orange vinyl. And I'm gonna just use this makeshift mat, and I'm gonna just line my pumpkin up on this makeshift mat the way that it's lined up on that mat, so I can make sure that I get my cuts right. That's the most important thing, especially when you're trying to cut multiple colors on the same mat, FYI. And because I do have this this 24-inch mat, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just make this one mat. That way I can just cut everything on one mat, as a matter of fact. So to change the mat, let me show you how we're gonna do that. So to change the mat, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go up here where it say 12 by 12, and we're gonna change the mat size to a 12 by 24. Once you change it to a 12 by 24, it's gonna come with a longer mat on the screen. That way we can cut everything on the same one. So what I'm doing now is just moving this trick or treat over to my black mat, since my black mat, and you can tell the difference. This one is still saying that the machine is gonna cut at a 12 by 12. But this one is saying it's gonna cut on a 12 by 24. So we're gonna move everything over to one mat and just cut it from there. It didn't dawn on me that I could have just used my one mat. And now that we moved everything over, what it did is it's changed the trick or treat. It's because we're cutting all on one mat. It changed the color of it, but it's perfectly fine. Just as long as you make sure that you put the right vinyl in there is all that really matters. So now that I have everything on one mat, it all changed to the same color, which is fine. You know what needs to be in what color. So if you wanted to put this in orange, it's perfectly fine to put it in orange. Whenever you put it on the mat, just make sure you put it on the mat as orange. And if you wanted that to be black, make sure it goes on the mat the same way that it's supposed to be and is lined up on this in the same colors. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut my trick or treat with my pumpkin that's supposed to be orange base real quick. Sorry for all the flipping, but and it looked like I've got it lined up at about 7, and it drops down to about 15. I'm gonna bring it down just a little bit because it looked like my black reaches right at about where my 7 is. So I'm gonna bring it down just a hair bit, 9 to a 14, which is what we're gonna be doing. So we're gonna put this on here. Of course, it cuts upside down. So we're gonna do 9 to, not 14, 16 inches. I'm glad I. So we're gonna do a bit more. That's just me. Of course, vinyl is money, and because vinyl is money, you don't want to waste too much vinyl. So what we have here, this mat up here where it says trick or treat and it has the face, that's gonna be what we cut in black. This down here where it says trick or treat and it has the pumpkin, that's what we're gonna be cutting in orange. So just like it looks on our screen on the computer, it's the same way that it needs to look like the screen on the mat. Got it? Now we're gonna go ahead and cut. guess this big board came in handy. And we'll continue through. So while this is cutting, if you had any questions, now would be the perfect time for questions while I can see the actual comments. Where's everybody from? So we're gonna go ahead and cut from here. I'm gonna turn my press on. Don, you should have been instructing this class. Lubbock, Texas, right down the road from me. Okay, Lubbock. Shreveport, been there a time or two. Clarksville, Indiana, that's right across the street from where I was born. Chicago. Cincinnati. Okay, Cincinnati. Roanoke, Virginia. Mobile, Alabama. Mobile. Boy, I went to school in Huntsville, and I tell you about Mobile, man. Mobile was bad for me. Memphis, I like Memphis. Lubbock, Texas. You got a crafting buddy down there, Lubbock. Florida. That's one place I don't think I have been. No, I've been to Pensacola, but not like into Florida. Philadelphia, yeah, been there. Birmingham, Alabama. I lived in Hoover for a little while. Just visited New Orleans. California's on my list. I'm sorry, I'm screwing up my phone. There we go. I'm just getting started with my Cricut Air 2. I need to learn how to use Design Space. I don't think I have a video on learning Design Space yet, but I promise you I'll work on it. We like to have fun. True, Chica, y'all do like to have fun. That's the reason why it's just not for me. Natchez, Mississippi. I started school in Jackson and didn't really care for Mississippi, so I ended up leaving. Been to the net? Nah, I hadn't been there. You gonna help me today? I just learned how to change the mat size on Design Space from you. Woohoo! Hey, at least my teaching is working. Findlay, Cali. I've been to Cali, but I was only there for a business transaction. I wasn't there long. Nebraska, haven't been in Nebraska yet. South Carolina, I think I've been through there. Deborah, how are you? Thanks for coming up and joining the class with us. Your picture was the only picture we had, by the way, Deborah. I was a little bit upset about that. Oh, I need to get a shirt, huh? You should come to Lubbock and we would all do a group Cricut class. To be honest, where is Lubbock? I know Lubbock is south. Is that? Is that the Air 2? Yes, Joy, this is the Air 2. Your Air 2. Shreveport, Louisiana. Currently visiting Houston. Oh, you're right down the road from me. Washington, are you DC, Washington, or state? I paused it just to give it a little bit more pressure with the vinyl because we're cutting vinyl, glitter vinyl and regular vinyl. So I wanted to give it a little bit more pressure on the glitter vinyl. So that's the whole reason why I paused it just a second ago. Still not sure how you just layered everything, although I haven't layered it yet. I'm just cutting right now. I'm about to layer it in just a second though. You always have such a great attitude. I'm sitting here angry about HTV not sticking. How does your HTV not stick? HTV is only activated by heat, so that means it's either not hot enough or something's wrong. I am glad that you enjoyed the class, Deborah. It was my very first pop-up class, and the guy that owns that restaurant, he just messaged me. He was like, you know, come try a class, come do it, tell me what you think about it. So I think we're going to be hosting there quite often. Not quite sure exactly how often. Hi, Cindy. Huh? New Hampshire, hadn't been there, right up by the Canadian border. I'm trying to get there. Red Raiders were about 2.5 hours south of Amarillo. Oh, you way down there, way down there. Like you down there, down there. I'm pausing it once again in order to take just some of the pressure off because we're back on this regular HTV and I don't want it to cut. I don't want the blade to dig so deep in it. So I just changed it just a little bit. What blade are you using to cut with? This is just a standard blade that comes in this one, Vicky. I didn't change out a blade or do anything special with this blade. It's just a standard the fine point blade that comes with the Cricut. Oh, I need to get a shirt. I keep saying that instead. I ain't got to do it. It was operator error, hence current throwing tantrum. You can't get mad at it for something you did. Hi, Donna. So it's coming out telling me that it's done at this point because, of course, it's clicking here. So we'll just go ahead and feed it through. And then I have to turn it back around. I got my little help here at the table with me. You gonna say hello? No? You gonna sit there and act shy? So I've got my cuts here. I've got both my cuts here. Ah, and it cut too deep. I knew it was gonna do that. I'm so disappointed. This is yours. I don't know how to work yours. Clearly, I don't know how to work it. Yeah, but your blade is brand new and my blade isn't brand new, so I know how to manipulate my blade, but I don't know how to manipulate yours. And it cut really deep. Right when I thought I was changing it. I'm sure I'm not the only one that ever had this mistake. I may have to recut just my pumpkin, which I think I am. I'm gonna no, it came out, okay. I'm gonna see if it came out okay. If it didn't, I may have to recut my pumpkin because I think I cut it a bit too thick. Readjust my camera so you can see what's going on here. You ruined 2 shirts. Working with hers, her blade is a lot newer than my blade is. I'm so used to working with my dull blade until I know what my cuts are and what my cuts are supposed to be or how deep I want my blade, but with hers, it's not the same. She tells me that it is, but it really isn't. Well, my blade is dull. My blade is really dull. So because my blade is really dull, I know how to work with my dull blade. Why do you turn the vinyl upside down? Anytime you're working with HTV, it always has to be mirrored because you cut it from the back, or this is the glue portion of it, and this is the transfer sheet. So you turn it upside down and you turn it back upside down when you get ready to cut. And then we just weed out the interior of everything. Typically what I have right now is I typically look at the computer because you see what needs to be weeded from the computer. So when you get ready to press it, the reason why you cut it upside down, because when you get ready to press it, it presses this way. Make sure I picked off all my, all the black that needed to come off, and that looks decent. And I may end up having to recut this orange, not sure yet. Because of an operator error, of course. With my pumpkin. It might come through for me. Do you put the transfer sheet on the mat, then the vinyl upside down? No, this is a two-part vinyl, so it comes with the transfer sheet. Most HTV automatically comes with the transfer sheets. So this already have the transfer sheet on it. And what now we're doing is just pulling off all the excess vinyl that we don't need. And because we're going to be using just the outside of this, you can see where it's cut. There it is. You can see where it's cut the inside. So we need to take out the inside because all we're doing is using the outline of it. Throw a tantrum? No, I can't throw a tantrum. I'm too big to be throwing tantrums. Plus, my wife will make me sleep on the couch if I throw a tantrum. Over vinyl. So we're weeding out everything that we don't need. And on the pumpkin where I screwed up my pumpkin here, of course, hopefully it allowed me to weed it okay. And when I say it screwed it up is I had too much pressure on it. How you see it cut through the transfer paper. You never want it to cut through the transfer paper. That lets you know that there was way too much pressure on it. There's only one HTV that I know of that doesn't come with a transfer paper, and that's the HTV foil. You have to buy the transfer paper separately. So I'm having to be really careful with this one because I don't want to rip what I need. It just kicked me out like I'm nobody. I won't say you're nobody, but You know how I feel. Oh, it let me be great today. Look at that. And I've got just a little bit here in the pumpkin that I need to get off. And up here. All right, so now that we've got that, yes, Caesar's Easy Weave is the absolute best because it's like butter. It's like butter, baby. All right, so now that we have it, I'm gonna put a board down so you can see. So we've got this, which is the outline. Can you see it? We've got this, which is the outline, and we have I'm being nice. You see, I left you alone. And we have the interior, which is this. So this is pretty much how it's going to sit once we put it on the shirt. Let me line it up so you can see before we even put it in the... So when we get ready to put it on the shirt, this is what it's going to look like. This is just putting the two pieces together. This hasn't been under the heat yet, but this is what it's going to look like. But I do have my heat press here, and I do have a shirt. So I'm going to take you over to the heat press really quick so you can see what it looks like when I actually press it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over this to make sure that I pull off all these little vinyl pieces, because any vinyl pieces that you leave on your transfer sheet, it is definitely going to transfer to your shirt. Definitely going to transfer to your shirt. So make sure we got everything pulled off. Make sure that it's clean. And now that everything looks clean and looks good, we're going to go ahead and head over to the printer. Can you be my assistant, honey bun? Oh, I got it up at 400 degrees. I must be still thinking I'm subbing. Hold up, I got to turn my press down. I had it way too high. But I think I'll still be able to hit it really quick just so you can see what it looks like. Can you help me out with my camera? Hold my camera? I might need the light over there too. I don't know how my lighting is over here. My lighting may suck. Oh, it works. So I have my press up way too high, but because my press is up too high, I'm not going to do the recommended time and the temps on these, only because my press is up really high. And actually with this pumpkin, because I didn't line this pumpkin up, I'm going to have to cut the pumpkin out because the pumpkin wasn't lined up with the green. I don't know if you remember that or not. So let's go ahead and try it really quick.
Thank you, Christina.
Oh, her singing? Mm-hmm. Oh, her numbers and everything, man. She be killing it. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and put my black down first. And remember, the rule of thumb is at least 3 down, but because my fingers are really fat, I typically use about 2 in order to make sure that it's lined up. And I'm going to just hit it really quick. Typically, you can put a transfer sheet on top of it, which is recommended. So, I mean, if that's what you do, then that's what you do. But for this quick tutorial, I don't have my transfer sheet out, so I'm going to just go ahead and press it. It doesn't need that much time, the recommended time that it tells you that you're supposed to have, simply because you're going to be pressing it or you're going to hit it with the heat again. So just pull that back, that first piece of transfer, that first transfer sheet off. And then we can line up our outline with it.
Mama. Guess I got a shirt to wear to work Friday. Mama.
Oh yeah, I mean I won't even charge you full price for it.
Oh, you not.
Oh, I'm gonna charge you.
You ain't gonna charge me nothing as much as I do.
Hit this with the press real quick.
You gotta hurry, the internet's acting up.
Uh-oh, my internet's acting up, so I have to hurry, she said. I'm not gonna keep it on that long because my press is way too hot already. Now that I have that, I need to put my pumpkin stencil on. And press it again. Not holding on there the recommended amount of time because, like I told you, once my press is way too hot. And our ending results is going to be layered. And that's how you do it. That's how you layer HTV. And there you have it. Simple and easy. I'll save this video and I'll upload it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, definitely inbox me. I'll be more than elated to help you with as much as I can, but that's simply how you layer HTV. If you've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different colors, it all works pretty much the same way, just by layering it just the way that we just layered it. I hope this video is informative, and you have a good day, okay?